Well, it was a topsy-turvy week last week in Riverside High School football. And I'll tell you what, we're going to have it all right now on the Coach's Perspective. Yes! My friend is back, the great co-host, the guy with the greatest sunglasses I've ever seen. He is my dearest friend in the whole world. He is my little spoon, my friend, Pep Fernandez. How are you, Pep?
Jeff, what is up? Yeah, we are coming off the best week of high school football we've seen this season. But now, what we have, 3 weeks left of regular season play. Like, these games are going to be huge. But yeah, week 7 was the biggest week of games that we've seen so far this year. It was awesome.
Well, I'm hoping that we get 20 games next year. I hope seriously, let's just make the season a lot longer, because high school football is my favorite time of the year. You can throw out Christmas, you can throw out basketball, you can throw out baseball. It's high school football.
Yeah, you never want to see it end, right? At least we have the state playoffs, and I say playoffs because it's only, the SoCal regional for us and then the state championship game, but it kind of extends that season. So if you play all the way through like Ramona did last year, you got 16 games, which is a lot. I mean, that's almost an NFL season.
Yes, that's true. Let's dig into the Riverside schools before we get into the nitty gritty of Thursday and Friday night football. Of the Riverside teams, who's your biggest surprise so far this year? And how many of these Riverside schools do you think can get a playoff spot?
All right, call me Captain Obvious here, but Ramona is the biggest surprise, right? Like, you knew they were going to be good. They're always good. They're always well coached. Mashinsky does such a great job with them, but I think we are all a little surprised to see how good they were, how convincing that win was against Norte Vista. And they've played some close games, Jeff. I mean, I look back, I remember we had highlights of their game against Rancho Mirage, and Rancho Mirage is good. They're not like a powerhouse, but they're good. And I remember they won on the road. I think it was like by 1. And I thought, okay, this Ramona team can go on the road. They can get down in a game. They can fight their way back. They can win a close one. That speaks volumes, at least, for a team that we're still trying to find their identity, because, again, we knew they were going to be good, but how good were they going to be? Because they lost a lot of guys from last season's team like they did the year before that. So at least for me, Ramona is the biggest surprise. Not surprised that they are good, but surprised that they are this good. And they're on pace to go 10-0. They're going to go undefeated during the regular season, barring some drastic, bizarre, outcome in one of these final games.
Yeah, I mean, they have really done a great job. Ken Mashinsky, who's a friend of mine, I called him yesterday just to kind of set up things for the next couple of weeks. And he was meeting with his coaches on Sunday. He gives them off Saturday. And I said, where are you guys meeting? At a restaurant? He goes, no, we're meeting at school. And we hunker down. I said, oh my gosh, it's like you go to church and then you go coach football. You're missing all the good games. Ramona has it dialed in. Coach Mush does a great job.
It's all about winning, right? It's all about winning. Hey, I don't care. It's Sunday. You guys get your butts down to Ram High. We got a big game to plan for. What Rams? They've got, is it Harupa Valley? I think on Thursday night this week. So, but now the thing is, we're gonna look at Ramona and be like, okay, there can't be a letdown coming off that huge Norte Vista game. How do they keep their composure? How do they stay focused, stay motivated, right, through these last 3 weeks of the regular season to win that River Valley League championship and try to go, undefeated? And there's been a lot of good Ramona teams, but there's not, Jeff, we've talked about this, there's not a lot of league title banners hanging up at Ram High for football. This looks like it. This could be their year to hang a River Valley League championship title up.
Well, I know they won one in, I want to say 2012. They were 5-0 in conference, but they also shared that like 5-way tie, and La Sierra got second place that year. Remember, it was the River Valley League, everybody, and La Sierra got second.
It was 2017, I think it was,
right.
Wasn't it?
That's right. Now, let's talk about some of the other, let's talk about Norte Vista really quick. Norte Vista lost. Ken Batdorf, I thought I had to talk him off the ledge, but I handed him a sandwich. He was fine after that. Fine.
Sandwiches can solve a lot of problems, Jeff.
A good sandwich solves everything. But you look at the loss, and I know he's heartbroken because he wanted to go 10-0. He owed He promised a dear friend of ours, Ron Main, he was going to try to go 10-0. He didn't fulfill that prophecy or whatever, but he did put himself, I think, in a pretty good position. Right now, I think they're sitting in Division 8, ranked second or third. They have a pretty good shot still to do some damage and maybe get that elusive CIF championship.
Yeah, Division 8, that's probably where they should be. Even last year when they were in Division 4, they went 9-1 through the regular season River Valley League Championship. I thought, I don't look at those Cal Prep rankings. I do my own rankings. I thought they would be like Division 6 last year. I thought that's where I would slot them. So if they're Division 8 or even Division 7 for that matter, yeah, they're going to be one of the favorites to go all the way to the championship. So let's say they finish, 9-1 in the regular season and go Division 8. Yeah, this could be a championship season for the Braves.
Well, let's move around Riverside. You got Martin Luther King, playoff team or not playoff team right now, and your thoughts?
Of course, but they've got 3 huge games coming up. They got Temecula Valley this week, and they're going to finish up with Murrieta Mesa and Great Oak. That Murrieta Mesa game, assuming King beats Temecula Valley this week, but King versus Murrieta Mesa the following week, that will be your league championship game. So I think King is definitely a playoff team. They will finish in the top 3. I think the conversation now is get past Temecula Valley this week and then set up that showdown with Murrieta Mesa, because Murrieta Mesa already beat Great Oak, and that was the other real threat in the Big West Lower. So I think King's in a really good spot right now.
Okay, let's move over to Hillcrest and Arlington. Both, and let's go Poly as well. Give me the 3 in, 3 out in that league right now.
Okay, here's the only thing I can tell you right now, Jeff. Like, Hemet looks like the favorite, right, to win the league championship and get that automatic spot. Second place and third place for those other 2 playoff spots. Man, who knows these last couple of weeks? Every single team probably feels like they have a shot to finish in the top 3, including Riverside Poly. I know, you're going to talk to Coach Gilbert, and he feels really good about their team despite their record. They only have 1 win this season, but they've literally played everybody tough this year, maybe outside of Redlands, which that was kind of an outlier, kind of a surprise to all of us on homecoming that they lost to the Terriers like that. But I think even Riverside Poly feels like they can creep up there and get inside the top 3. And we're thinking even the 4th place team will be an at-large team for the CIF Southern Section playoffs. So finish in the top 4, give yourself a chance. Who are those, top 4 going to be? Dude, I have no idea. I know Hemet's the favorite. They are clearly the best team in that league, and they should run the table. They control their own destiny. But finishing the top 4, man, I think Hillcrest and Poly, I think even Arlington might sneak in there if they wanted to. But there's some big games, and Rancho Christian looks tough too. So it's not going to be easy, but it's possible.
All right, let's talk about our Thursday night matchup. It'll be Rancho Christian at Arlington. I'll be on the call with John Rice on that one. That's a huge game right there. New quarterback over at Rancho Christian, transfer from Rancho Cucamonga. And then on Friday night, we're going to flip the script. We're going to go at Poly, Hillcrest versus Poly. Those are our 2 games for the week. What are your thoughts on the Rancho Christian Arlington game before we talk to the coaches?
Okay, so here is my theme, Jeff, for both of the Riverside TV games. For Arlington on Thursday night and for Riverside Poly on Friday night, these are playoff games for the Lions and the Bears. They have to win these games to have any shot of staying, high enough in the standings to get that automatic spot to the playoffs. So Rancho Christian is tough. When they play Hemet, there's going to be a lot on the line, I feel like. But still, for the Lions, playoff game against Rancho Christian. And for the Riverside Poly Bears going up against Hillcrest, I feel like that is also a playoff game for Riverside Poly. If you lose that one, whether you're Poly or Arlington, you have got an uphill battle, and you're going to need some help from other teams to find a path to get to a playoff spot. So for both those teams, I feel like the playoffs start this week for the Lions and the Bears.
Well, Pep, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have the head coaches of Riverside Poly and Hillcrest, Travis Carter and Jerron Gilbert. And then at the very end of the show, we're going to come back with the Boost Top 25 rankings and a Boost 1, a tally of 1. We'll discuss that at the very end of the show. Thanks, Pep. We'll see you in a few minutes. And we are back here on the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV with the head coach of the Riverside Poly Bears, the great Jerron Gilbert. How are you today, Coach?
Doing well. Out here at practice, getting things together.
Well, Coach, I mean, you look at your record and you look at it and you go, oh, but in reality, you guys have played some pretty darn close games this season. What are you guys going to have to do to just get over that hump?
We have to figure out how to finish games more than anything. And we've been playing tough most of the season. A couple weeks in there, got away from us. Injury bugs been hitting us, some illnesses. But just fighting through the adversity and trying to figure it out. We're not unfamiliar because we were in the same position last year, unfortunately. But there's opportunity ahead of us. We still have an opportunity for the playoffs, and trying to punch our ticket. So backs against the wall right now is the mentality. Every game's a playoff game, and we're just competing to get in right now.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, like you said, you went through it last year, and you guys had a great outcome. You lost in the CIF championship, but still you were there. What do you do on a daily basis to keep your kids motivated when you go through some tough losses like this?
We just we look at the tape and we look at what's going on, and it's not discouraging. There's a lot of positive stuff, and it's really come down to little things. We've had some drive killers. Some shooting ourselves in the foot, but when we're rolling, you can see, things are blocked up well. Guys are running. It's just a matter of executing and pulling everything together as a team. Can't have those games where the offense is going and the defense falls off and vice versa. We need to come together for 4 quarters and play a complete game. But getting over mistakes, moving on, not dwelling on them, and just looking at things that we can fix is the big deal, and looking ahead.
Well, Jerron, you have a tough league. I mean, Pep and I have been talking about it all year. Really, you add two teams that are pretty good, and then you have some beasts in your league. What are your thoughts on those two teams entering your league, and how do you feel? I mean, it's just top to bottom. All the teams are about the same.
It's competitive, and I mean, it's not something we run from. We're upset about. We got an opportunity to compete. We've been in those situations all year long, so we didn't have a cupcake schedule by any means. And what we found last year, similar, we were more battle tested at the end of things. And when you have a competitive schedule, you get into the playoffs, and you've been through some things. You know how to handle adversity. You know how to handle those situations. So right now, we appreciate the fights. Wish we would have been on the other side of them, but we have 3 games left, and we can pull these out the same way that just about every team in the league is trying to do. If we can be the ones that end up on top, we'll be better off for it, I believe.
Well, you guys are facing a familiar foe in Hillcrest on Friday night at RCC, by the way. They're kind of in a similar situation. I mean, they were within a grasp of beating Ramona. They've played well. They've got some great athletes. What are your initial thoughts after seeing Hillcrest play?
They're a tough team. They're well coached. Coach Carter does a great job with this program. And, it's last year was a even matchup all the way through. It was a 14-7 game. And I know, we're both looking at that game like, man, we got out of there luckily, and they won some revenge, I'm sure. But I got a lot of respect for that coaching staff and the players on that team because they find a way to get it done. They've been in some battles. We've been in some battles. So right now we're all fighting for a spot, and it's going to be the best man win. That defense is they move around a lot. They make it tough on you, and we're going to give you different looks, and we have to be able to adjust and execute.
Well, Coach, it is always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm going to let you go. I know you're in the middle of practice, but we just wanted to touch bases with you before the big game Friday night at RCC. I know Gonzalo and I will be there, and Riverside TV will be there for the big game. Looking forward to seeing you, Coach, and I hope all is healthy with everyone, and good luck to the Bears on Friday night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, he's the head coach of the Poly Bears, Jerron Gilbert, and when we come back, we'll have more on the coach's perspective here on Riverside TV. And welcome back. We are now joined by the other coach for Friday night's ball game. He is the head coach of the Trojans of Hillcrest, the great Travis Carter. What are you doing, Travis, in your office?
Hey, what's going on, Jeff? Nothing much, man. We just got done with practice, and there's a flag football game going on in a few minutes. So I'll head up and watch that in a little bit.
You gonna go out and recruit some girls to play on the boys team?
No. But man, they've been killing it. They're winning their league, and their last league games tonight. So I'll go up there support a little bit.
Look at you there, Mr. Wonderful. Gosh, you're a great coach. Hey, it's we got a big one coming up on Friday night against the Bears of Riverside Poly at RCC. Kind of fun matchup. You guys met last year, and I think there's maybe some revenge on your part.
Yeah, I mean, last 2 years have been close games. One-score games. We got the first one. They got us last year. So Duran's doing a great job over there. Even their, you can't really look at their record, just see what kind of team they are because, they're in every game with some really good teams. So it's going to be a tough one. I'm excited, and I'm glad you guys are going to be out there covering it again. It seems like I can't get rid of you.
Well, Coach, I only cover the people I like, and so you've been on quite a bit this season for Riverside TV. But I will say this: you guys are in a new league. What are your thoughts and your initial thoughts? I mean, you're second week into this league. It's a gauntlet. I mean, I think it's tougher right now, top to bottom, than the River Valley for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, top to bottom, it's a tough league. I mean, week one, in league we had Arlington. We escaped there with a win. Luckily, one-score game. And then, last week Hemet was a really good football team, and we didn't quite come out on top in that one. But yeah, every week's going to be a battle. There's no games you could look past. You got to bring your A game every week. Top to bottom, every team can beat you. So it's a tough one, but it makes for some good football, and it makes it fun.
Well, I have the game Thursday night between Arlington and Rancho Christian. Rancho Christian, new quarterback from Rancho Cucamonga. I heard he's thrown for like 9 trillion yards the first couple of weeks. I mean, your league is just, everybody is tough. Every single week, they're kind of balanced. You got good offenses, you got great defenses, but you are facing a Riverside Poly team, like you said, that's hungry. You guys have been, you've been within, a score of beating Ramona, who's undefeated. You guys are always in these games. You played Hemet well until you had some injuries. Everybody was talking about Hillcrest and the great job you've done so far. What are your thoughts? What do you got to do to beat Poly?
Yeah, I mean, to beat Poly, we just got to be more consistent in all 3 phases of the game. And I think they probably feel the same way right now. Like, we don't want to be the team that's like, hey, you played them tough, but you lost in a close one. We want to come out on top in those games. And in order to do that, we got to execute. I got to coach better. We got to, make a few more plays. And, hopefully at the end of, 4 quarters when the clock hits 0, we come out on top. But, yeah, Riverside Poly's a good team. Probably I know they're 1-6, but if you look at it, they've played Ramona really, really tough. They were right in that one. They played Rancho Christian just this past week. They lost in last second throw by, you mentioned Rancho Christian. They got talented quarterbacks, some talented receivers. They played Riverside King, who I think is a really good team. Lost it by 3 to them. So they're a really good team. Obviously, we got a lot of respect for them. And, we're going to have to play well, offensively, defensively, and on special teams. We got to eliminate mistakes, what we got to do.
Well, you've got some great playmakers. I mean, you have, I think, Richards, the new guy. We saw him for the last couple of weeks. You've got, is Vences back? Is he feeling okay?
Yeah, so no Vences this week, unfortunately. But, yeah, guys have stepped up. Vence has been out the last couple of weeks. Louis Fajardo has been, just running his butt off.
I love that guy.
He's probably the smallest running back I've ever seen play varsity football, but he's extremely tough. He runs really, really hard, and he's tough to bring down, even though he's so small. So he's stepped up at running back. Obviously, I think the O-line's getting better and better every week. And then we got some receivers that are making plays. Julian Sandoval's making plays. Josiah had a couple, great catches last week. And we're playing better defense. Like I said, we're doing a lot of good things. We just got to eliminate the negative plays, the penalties, turnovers, stuff like that. That is, adding up and compounding, and at the end of the day, making it, tough to overcome.
Well, Coach, I always enjoy calling your games because they are always so close. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, they're good football games, and it's much better calling a good game than one where you're losing or winning by 100, and I have to fill time with jokes.
Yeah, nobody wants to listen to your jokes for that long, Jeff.
Well, Travis, thank you again for joining us, and we're going to see you Friday night at RCC. Great field, great environment versus the Riverside Poly Bears on Riverside TV. Thank you for your time. We'll see you Friday night, bud.
Hey, Jeff, thank you, man, and thank you, everyone over at Riverside TV. You guys are doing a great job. All the schools in Riverside are very, very lucky, man. No one else gets coverage like this, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to follow you home later, Coach. You're going to get even more coverage. I'm going to follow. It's going to be a reality show of Travis Carter.
I'll pass on that one.
Well, he might pass on that, but we're still going to stalk him, and we're going to see him Friday night versus the Bears. We'll be right back with Pep Fernandez here on the Coach's Perspective on Riverside TV. Well, we just heard from Travis Carter and Jerron Gilbert, the great coaches at Riverside Poly and Hillcrest. And Pep, I do have to say the Jeff Gorham sunglasses, collectible sunglasses from Riverside TV, look well on you. But where, I didn't even mention, you're somewhere in the IE covering flag football?
Listen, nobody covers girls flag football like me. And I should point this out, too. I know we're doing week 8 of high school football, but this Saturday, the playoff brackets will come out for the CIF Southern Section girls flag football playoffs. And I know we do. We've got a number of teams from the city of Riverside that will be in the girls flag football playoffs. I know Hillcrest is having a great season. JW North has done some big things. So we're going to have several teams from Riverside in the playoffs, the very first playoffs.
The Norta Vista Bravettes, the Bravettes, I think they're going to make the playoffs as well. So, hey, good for everybody involved. But Pep, we have to discuss before we go the Boost Top 25 rankings according to the Inland Sports Supercomputer. What has changed this week in the top 25?
The only big change I would say is Hemet and Ramona are both very, very high now in the rankings. I think Hemet's 11, Ramona is 12. And at this point, Jeff, if you are 7-0 on the season, it's not by accident. Whether it was a close game or a blowout, you are finding ways to win. That's exactly Ramona's story this season. We talked a little bit earlier about, their whole body of work and beating Rancho Mirage on the road by 1, and they had to come back and win that one, or beating, Norta Vista by 3 touchdowns. I mean, that was unbelievable. So it's not by accident the Rams are 7-0. Hemet also in the Sun Belt League lead. They are 7-0. So at this point in the season, if you're 7-0, you're doing something right. You got to reward those teams. And that's why they are so high in the rankings right now. Norta Vista dropped a little bit because remember, they've only got the 1 loss, and it's to Ramona. They have a good win on the road against Great Oak. So we couldn't drop the Braves that much. But yeah, if you're looking for the teams climbing the highest and the fastest in the Boost Top 25, definitely Hemet and definitely Ramona.
Well, we always leave out our favorite team in the entire city of Riverside, the 2-time defending state champions, California School for the Deaf Riverside. And this week, where do they sit atop the Boost Inland Sports top 8-man programs?
Well, so for, 11-man programs, we have the top 25. For 8-man, we have the top 1. So in the top 1 poll, it's CSDR for the 3,293rd week in a row or whatever it is. And honestly, Jeff, if there was a national 8-man football poll, CSDR might be number 1 in the nation as well, because they really don't have any competition here in the Southern section. They've been that good the last at least 3 years. And at least here in our area, yeah, they're second to none.
Well, I always like to say a good curse word. Here it is. They're beating the hell out of everybody, Pep. Everyone.
Yeah, even the games that were supposed to be close, at least historically close, some of the teams that they've played closer games with have not been close. They've literally been blowing everybody out.
Do you know what Coach Adams does when he goes home? He has a map on the wall. And he goes by destruction of state. And he took care of Maryland, right?
Check.
He's taken care of Texas, Florida, any other goofy state that's ever come up against CSDR, destroyed.
That's what I'm saying. If there was a national poll, if there was a national, 8-man football rankings, they'd be number one in my book.
Well, they're number one in my heart as well, just like you, Pep Fernandez. And we're going to see you. Hey, listen, before we go, Friday night pep rally, 11 p.m. It's live and amplified, as you always used to say on the radio. Here's the deal, though. This week, I want to hear from all of the coaches, not just Riverside, but I want to see pictures of the best, what do you call that? The drip, the best uniform combinations in the entire Inland Empire. Are you down for that, Pep?
I am down, and Jeff, and not because you are a Ramona Ram, but I will say I kind of lean towards Ram High, dude. I just like their colors. I like the traditional look, the horns on the helmet. I'm not even a Rams fan. I'm a 49ers fan, but I do like Ramona's look. So I'm not saying there's a front runner, a leader in the clubhouse for best uniforms yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards Ramona.
Well, I know Jason McMains, who's sitting in my pocket over here, always has some great uniform combos over at King. I know our friend Chris Chaddock at Sanji has pretty nice unis.
Yes.
I don't know. We're going to have to send in your best drip, and then we will put it on the Friday night pep rally. And then Thursday nights or Wednesday. When is the Inland Sports Show these days?
Wednesday night, 7:05 kickoff. And we'll talk a lot of girls flag football on this show.
Well, are you going to talk about the big games on Riverside TV?
Well, yeah, of course I will. Two big ones, Thursday night and Friday night, playoff games for a couple of those teams.
And I'm going to be on both games. Pep Fernandez, I wish you were there with me, but I know you're working so hard in the studio getting the pep rally ready. But thank you again for joining me. We're going to have a great couple games. Remember, Friday night, we have Holly and Hillcrest at RCC. And then Thursday night, I'll be on the call versus Rancho Christian and Arlington High School. He's Pep Fernandez. I'm Jeff Gorham, and you are watching the greatest show on Riverside TV. We'll see you next week on The Coach's Perspective.